Well, hello and welcome to NAIFA's June edition of the Advisor Ambassador Program. My name is Zach Hewells, and I work in the Membership and Marketing Department at the NAIFA Home Office. We have a great speaker for you today, Kate Cihon. Kate is not only a member of NAIFA Colorado, but she's also the president of NAIFA Denver. Today, Kate will be presenting Build Your Professional Network of Mentors and Industry Colleagues. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them into the chat feature on Zoom, or if you'd like, you can ask them at the end. I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to our featured speaker and welcome Kate.
Well, I'm just going to address Greg since he's the only one on. Hi, Greg. How's it going? My name's Kate Cihon, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado. I'm actually at a conference room at one of my clients because I have a meeting directly after this. So this is just a white wall. It's not my office, but that's fine. So this next slide, I always think it's nice to get to know the speaker a little bit because we're all real people that do real things. So I grew up in the insurance business. People ask me, how long have you been doing this? And I say 40 years, but I've only been getting paid for the last 10 since I now work with my father. I really did grow up in the industry, going with him to conferences, NAIFA conferences, industry conferences, all sorts of stuff. He was the NAIFA national president in 2003. So NAIFA is truly like my second family. So the day that I decided to join him in the business, he showed me my application and said, here you go, you better get signed up. So I joined, and I just joined as a member for a while, and then I started taking on some leadership roles. I'm president of NAIFA Denver. I went through the Leadership and Life Institute program. I'm on the National Yacht Committee, and I'm also helping to plan the Performance Plus Purpose Conference, which is going to be the best one ever since I'm helping to plan it, obviously. I joined my father in 2009 in the business, and I had been in the city for about 7 years. And it's a funny story, actually. The client I met today is actually someone who I worked with, and just know where your relationships might take you. So I live in Denver with my husband, who's in that second picture there. We have 2 kids, Reed and Darcy, and we love to do all things that Colorado offer, skiing, Broncos games, all that fun stuff. My 2 children, who are 6 and 7, are both actually at sleepaway camp this week. So my husband and I are having our first taste of what it's like to be an empty nester. So I didn't have to make dinner for anyone but myself last night, and I only had to put myself in. It was pretty exciting. So I'm here to talk about networking and mentorship. So I just wanted to talk for a minute about who your network is. What makes you tick? What are you passionate about? What's a network that you could potentially be a part of? People think about maybe their immediate network of friends or their network of peers or clients, but I've chosen to align myself with different networks that I'm passionate about. One is Asbury Elementary, where my kids go to school. I'm part of the parent-teacher organization there, and I help out with certain events. I've sponsored a few things here or there, and that's a really good way to market your business and market yourself. And it's also obviously something I'm passionate about since it's where my children attend school. Leadership program of the Rockies is a leadership program that I went through back in 2016. It's specific to Colorado right now, but they're branching out to Connecticut, and they teach the kind of the fundamentals of the concepts that our country was founded on. We read the Federalist Papers, Atlas Shrugged, and that's a lot of like-minded people who are small business owners, which is one of my target markets. So not only did I join that program to further my knowledge and further my leadership development, but also as a way to meet like-minded people who I could potentially work with in the future. NAIFA, I've obviously been very involved with NAIFA, and the Junior League of Denver is something that's near and dear to my heart. So, Junior League is a organization of women volunteers. So we have trained volunteers that go out into the community and serve different areas. So in Denver, our focus is literacy. I actually helped plan the national conference for what's called the Association of Junior Leagues International. And Junior League has been one of my best source of clients, mainly because it's women, strong women who are like working and potentially own businesses. So I would just challenge anyone of you who are on to get more involved in something that you're passionate about. A couple of years ago, I actually stepped off of a few boards because I was doing a little too much of that stuff. But not only does it feel good to give back, but it's also something that can really help build your network. So that leads me to my next point is get on board. So if there is an organization that you're passionate about, being on a board elevates your stature among those people, not to mention giving back feels great. So I really like spending my time in the community, doing different things that I'm passionate about. And also, a lot of times there's events and you'll be photographed and in magazines and stuff. And so it really does help elevate your stature among the peer groups and sets you apart as a contributing member of the community. And I don't do it only for business purposes. I really do it because of organizations that I'm passionate about. It just does happen naturally that people say, well, what do you do? And I say, oh, my dad and I have an insurance and financial planning practice. And they say, oh, that's interesting. I've been thinking about insurance, or I've been thinking about offering benefits at my company. So you meet new people that might not only become clients, but I've also met a few people who maybe aren't clients, but still refer me to a lot of other individuals. So that's something that I really talk a lot about. So one thing in this business that people always talk about is relationships. So there's a picture down there. That guy's name's Peter Brown. He's given a lot of years of service to NAFA. He served as the treasurer of the national board for years and years. And he's part of our broker-dealer company called Emeritus. So he was the recipient of the John Newton Russell Award, which is one of NAFA's highest honors, 2 years ago, I think. And the backdrop when he did his little talk was just this quote that said, the greatness of our industry begins and ends with relationships. So this business is about relationships with your network, with a mentor, with your clients. And his story is very unique in that he started working for Union Central right out of college, actually when he was still in college. And one thing he did was he sold whole life policies to his fraternity brothers, and the fraternity was the beneficiary of the policy. So what it did was help those young men save for the future by investing in a cash value life insurance policy, but it also left a legacy for those men to the fraternity that they became a part of. And he was 18 years old and qualified for their top trip. He brought his then girlfriend, and they had to have separate rooms because they were 18, 19 years old or something. So it's crazy. But you just never know where this business can take you. And it can really be what you want it to be, depending upon where you want it, which area you choose to focus on. And then I have the third bullet point there, just inquiring minds. Something that I have strived to do better in my career is ask better questions. Being a good listener and asking questions is something that's essential to being successful. I have a general fact finder that I go through, mainly to get the information needed for clients for a financial plan or that I'm working on them with. But also, I sometimes get so enthralled with talking to people that I forget to ask the questions that I need to do my job. So that's why for me, I always have to have an agenda. I have to have a fact finder. I have to have these things that are the tools that help build the relationship in a successful way. And also questions for the client and information for the client about what their responsibilities are as well, because it's a two-way street. So why this business? We're told that we have to stand up for ourselves, but that's hard to do if you don't know who you are. So knowing who you are and making business is right for you. But then also, why NAFA? So in learning about standing up for yourself, NAFA is the industry association that stands for you. So we like to call it career insurance. My little picture on the right there, that's Kevin Mayu. He's the CEO of NAFA. This is just one slide that shows some of the victories that NAFA had for our industry over the past year. We were integral in helping vacate the Department of Labor fiduciary rule. We helped ensure that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act did not include Rothification of Roth IRAs, and then also passing the Senior Safe Act, where we had something similar like that in Colorado, where the verbiage of the bill initially said that we must report if we see a senior being financially abused. And by just changing the language to say should report, protects us. So if they write a bill that says you must report what you see in your meeting with your 85-year-old client, and you didn't know that her 50-year-old grandson is the one that's helping her manage her finances and he steals her money, but you've never met him, that you could still be at fault for that because you're serving as a fiduciary for her. So just by changing the language slightly, it really helps keep us in business and protect us from some of those little legislative things that are out there. Um, Also, you get the chance to rub shoulders with some of the legends in the industry who really have helped move NAFA and move our industry forward. We always try to have in NAFA Denver a really stellar speaker come out and launch the whole the year, which sort of for us starts in September. So we had Van Miller from Wisconsin. We've had quite a few other noteworthy speakers that really help. Jim Sippernagel's coming out in September, I think. So we're having really great people come and talk to our NAFA members, and they come because NAFA asks. And it's really important to hear those speakers because we all have the same tools in our toolbox. It's just the way in which we utilize them. So the best ideas I have aren't mine. I stole them from someone else who was really successful. So some of them are mine, but it's really great to make sure that you know who's doing what and trying to modify and emulate those best practices. And people say, why would I join NAFA? I'm just networking with a bunch of people who are my competition. Well, the reality is that there's too many people to talk to and not enough advisors, and the advisor pool is shrinking drastically. So we might as well all band together and be part of the same team. I've never once encountered a member in NAFA where we had the same interests and I was going against them to get a client. Maybe one time, but that's probably it. And it also helps you find colleagues. There's a lot of opportunities for involvement. You can attend a meeting where you live. You can join us at the Performance Purpose meeting in Orlando. That registration just went live, and there's a great lineup of educational opportunities and also speakers. It's a great time of the year too, because it's in September leading into that fourth quarter where you really know that you have to sort of pick up the pace and really fight hard toward the end of the year. So it really is motivating and inspiring. Most state associations have a day on the Hill in their own states. So I go to the one in Colorado. Ours is usually in February or March. That helps you learn about the legislative things happening near you that will affect your clients and yourself every day. Or you can also attend the Day on the Hill in DC. See that on the bottom right there, that's me with the Capitol in the background. So the Day on the Hill in DC is something that's really transformative. I was standing in the hall of the Senate where they have all the news people talk about what's happening, and everyone's walking by, and maybe Mitch McConnell's there or Nancy Pelosi or whom. And so to see where it all happens and to see that a lot of those offices are run by people who are 25 to 30 years old, and they're the ones that people like us are meeting with. It's pretty rare that you get to meet your actual elected official, but it is something that really does open your eyes to how the processes work. And they have to be, as an elected official, you have to be an expert on everything, or you have to know about everything, because every single fabric of our country is legislated in some way, and they don't know everything. So they need people like us to help educate them on what the issues are, how it affects them, and what we should do what they should do as our elected officials as different legislation comes down the pike. And you also get to meet new people. So that guy, the other picture of those old guys over there on the left, that's my dad and Bob Brown. So Bob lives in Memphis and my dad lives in Colorado Springs, and they met through NAFA, and we call them brothers from another mother. We've actually partnered up and joined his agency because Bob's daughter Rebecca is also in the business. So not only do we have this generational tie, but they're also very good friends and have very similar practices. So he's actually our general agent right now too, which is great. So all of those relationships have come out of NAFA. So we've had a great time learning and meeting new people, and also just furthering our career based on those relationships that we have. So these are some of the mentors that I've met through NAFA. Van Miller is that guy in the bottom left. If you haven't heard Van Miller speak, get online. I think he's probably on YouTube, but I wish I could put him in my pocket and take him with me to every meeting, because I think as people who sell insurance, we get sort of a bad rap, and he makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world and that you are doing the most important in the world because you're saving families. And the way that he makes it simple to understand and easy to understand, it's phenomenal. The other guy is with the red ties, Keith Gillies. He was the national president of NAFA last year. I have the pleasure of being part of his network of agencies as well. And he has done a great job in building up his practice, and also is a very great NAIFA mentor to me, and has shown me what it means to be a service leader. The guy in the middle there, he's from Colorado. His name is Steve Caldera. He was the NAIFA Denver president probably for 4 years, and really helped turn the ship around, and also has shown me that it doesn't take a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to give back, but with everything in life, you get what you give into it, you probably get more out of it. So he has been such a great read for me. He turned over his practice into a fee-based practice over the last few years, and he's partnered with a company called AssetMark, which is who we use a lot for investments as well. And he kind of just took me by the hand and showed me step by step what to do to build a better practice. And the guy on the bottom right with his daughters, his name is Selfie Taylor, also someone I met through NAIFA. He's the other type of speaker where I wish I could put him in my pocket and take me on every client meeting, because he says the right things. He makes complicated situations simple, and he has made me better in my career for it. All 4 of these people have. So I feel like I have been bettered by all of these mentors, and all of whom I met through NAIFA. So I hope that you too can find your mentor in this great organization. And that's basically all I have. I know it's kind of short, but I kind of stuck to the point. So there's only a few of us on the call, so if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Great work, Kate.
Thanks, Zach. And I know this will be recorded. Do people go back and watch them?
Yes.
Sometimes?
Yes. The recordings will be sent off to everybody in the class, and if anybody wants to, I thought someone was asking a question. But yes, no, they will be made available, and we always have a good amount of people go back and review.
Cool. Well, I left my contact information on the last slide, so if people have questions, I'd be happy to.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, my name is Cheryl Robinson. How soon would this recording be made available? I didn't come in, I didn't get a link, so I wasn't able to join the conference until late.
Well, it only takes a couple hours to process, and then after that, I pull it down, and usually within 24 hours.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if there's any other questions relating to the presentation, feel free to reach out to Kate. If there's any other questions relating to the program or today's presentation, feel free to reach out to me, recruitment@naifa.com.